I'm Chelsea Rapp, and I'm the chairperson of the New Zealand Game Developers Association. I'm also the program manager for the University of Canterbury's Digital Screen Campus. I definitely feel a sense of community in the games industry, almost more so than any other industry that I've been in. I think it's probably due to the fact that so many, both the people who make games and the players, engage with each other in, really dedicated online communities. You're able to find people who have similar interests to you, and I find that a lot of people who work at studios very frequently work at studios who make the kind of games that they want to play or that they want to make. People ultimately draw an emotional connection from games, right? I think that's what makes games memorable. It's what makes them fun to begin with. And I think making an emotional connection to the things that you value only strengthens that connection. So I think it's very easy for games to be value-centric and to still be fun. Anything is possible through game development, right? I mean, games are used for education, they're used for job training simulations, medical rehab. Why couldn't you, make change through social games? And I think games are an incredible way to reach new audiences and an opportunity to do unique kinds of storytelling to tell, stories about societal change. I mean, I think the games industry has been changing and growing really since its inception. I mean, there are more non-violent games than ever before. They made up almost a quarter of the games shown at E3 last year. So I think, every year the games sector evolves to meet the needs of the public. And I think a lot of that is we're seeing a generational change for younger people wanting to see change both in media but also in the world around them. I love multiplayer games. I'm a huge fan of couch co-op because I love the interaction that you get to have not only through playing with the game, but also being competitive, being cooperative. Some of my favorite games are games that I play with other people. There was a game on the GameCube that was called Mario Soccer, and it wasn't very popular, but I don't know if I've ever been more competitive in a game than I was in playing this Mario Soccer game with my friends. I feel like I remember staying up until almost 5 o'clock in the morning, and we kept saying, oh, we'll do best of 7, and it was best of 9, and then it was best of 11, because we were just having so much fun playing it together. People are going to be wanting to see games that represent, more diverse voices. I mean, we're seeing more main characters in games being female, which I think is great. But I think what people want to see is not only female representation, but people of color, the LGBTQ+ community. And I think that that's really what kind of the next generation of people will expect from games. Games are storytelling, right? Just in the same way that film is storytelling and really anything, right? Advertising can be storytelling. And I think the kinds of stories that people want to tell in games often reflect their own experiences. But they can very much distort what we think is real, especially if they have really large, dedicated online communities, because you can often find yourself in these echo chambers where people are sharing a lot of the same ideas, but not necessarily sharing opposing views. And I think if that's your only interaction with the wider world, which is common for a lot of people, it can be challenging to look at those perspectives and understand that there might be alternatives. Oh, this is a great question, because I think that the ethical grayness, even kind of moral grayness, has always been a topic not only in games but even in literature. Some of my favorite books have characters that are deeply flawed. It's an incredible way for people to challenge their own perspectives and if you look at a character and you initially think that maybe he's the hero, and then throughout the story maybe now this character, maybe this person's a villain, it kind of forces you to take a look at those traits and those characteristics that are affecting that opinion. And actually some of the most meaningful experiences I've had with games have played with nuance and kind of that ethical and moral gray area. I mean, I love puzzle games. I would say Portal 2 is my favorite game of all time, and the better mode in that game is the couch co-op version of it. I love games that force you to work with someone else, even if that someone else is a non-player character, because I think it's so much of life is based on cooperation, and I think even if you're somebody who feels like you work best alone, there are so many skills that I have developed from being forced to cooperate in games that apply to my everyday life. I don't love toxic online culture. Being a woman in a male-dominated field is challenging on its own, but I think for young people who look at the game sector, it's really common to see that toxic culture and then to attach that to the people who make those games. And I've found in my personal experience that there are a lot of game studios that have incredibly beautiful cultures that really put people first and make people of all backgrounds feel incredibly welcome. But that's not what you see in a lot of these online communities that kind of perpetuate kind of toxic, stereotypes and masochism and things like that. I don't love those insular communities, but I do think that there are a lot of games that foster really beautiful, healthy, inspirational communities to kind of combat that. I think gaming is culture. I think you can't separate the two. I mean, games are stories told by people who have their own culture, and it's impossible to not impart your own culture into those ideas and into those products. So I would say gaming is culture.